All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So the name of this presentation is called "Is the current health system responsible for the deaths from the pandemic? And have we been complacent with holding them accountable?" That's the topic. That's the conversation I want to have. And I understand that there's a conversation going on right now about the need for vaccines. And within this conversation, I also understand that the idea of making these vaccines mandatory is also being tossed around. And that right there is what I have the problem with. All right, so there's several problems I have, but that right there, the idea of making them mandatory is why I have the biggest problem. So as of right now, this is not going to be a talk about the vaccine itself per se, at least for right now, but I will come back and have a full-blown video about it. This video is just about the idea that this very same healthcare system could somehow come out and suggest the idea that it should be made mandatory. In my opinion, for you to even have the audacity to throw the idea of making something mandatory, you yourself or the organization needs to have a history and a record of progress and success. You got to show your work and your worth. You got to show that what you do and offer actually works. You have to walk it like you talk it. In other words, you have to have a passing grade. And in this presentation, I'm going to show you that not only have they not shown success in key areas, specifically chronic conditions, but they also have a failing grade of an F. Let's go. Let's get into it. Before we really get into the crux of this conversation, I first want to frame this in a way that's going to be constructive and helpful to us as a community. And also at the end of this, I will be talking about the next challenge we have coming up, the Fast Life 20-Day Challenge. A lot of you know about the challenge. A lot of you have been a part of the challenge. I highly recommend that everybody checks this out. This is one of my recommendations, or this is my main recommendation going forward. But I will touch on that at the end of this presentation. But right now, everyone understands that we're currently in the midst of a pandemic. We get it. That's where we're at right now. And the question that I'm posing relates to the responsibilities that the healthcare system has as it pertains to those who have been hardest impacted. Currently, unfortunately, well over 250,000 people have died in this country from this virus. And in my opinion, it did not have to be this way. Now, when it comes to the deaths, when it comes to those who have been hospitalized, when it comes to those who have been impacted in general, even the economy, some blame it on the lockdowns, some blame it on the timing of the lockdowns, some blame it on the lack of wearing masks, some blame it on the lack of the PPEs, which is the personal protection equipment. But I want to address this from a very a different way. I want to address this from a bottoms-up approach. And so what we need to understand is that as humans, we are designed to adapt and survive in this world. We have a system and protective mechanisms in our bodies that communicate with the environment and adapts in a way that will allow us to continue to survive. One of these systems is the immune system. This immune system is just like the military for our body, which protects us from terrorism, both foreign and domestic. At the same time, our immune system is also working and existing in harmony with its people and with its allies. Now, I want y'all to think for a little bit. How well would the real military, the United States military, fight if it was unfunded? Imagine how effective our military would be without its tanks, without its drones, without its ships, without its jets or guns. And then on top of that, I want you to imagine if the troops themselves are untrained and they're not able to fight. How effective do you think our military would be? How effective? It wouldn't be effective at all. And so what we need to understand that it is a combination of this that we have when we have weakened immune systems. The lack of resources, the lack of funding, the lack of tanks, ships, drones for the military is symbolic for the lack of things, the lack of resources that our bodies need in order to have a well, healthy, functioning immune system. You have to understand your lifestyle directly impacts your immune system. The two are not separate. I don't care what they're telling you. The two are not separate. What you eat, drink, smoke, stress about, the amount of movement, the type of medication, all of these things impact your immune system. Please make sure you understand that all of these things impacts your immune system. I know right now we are being very aggressive with uh, the mask wearing, and we're being very aggressive with washing our hands. And please, please continue to be responsible. However, before we get into the mask wearing and the hand washing and vaccinations, there is something called health and the immune system that needs to be addressed, because this is the foundation. You can wash your hand all you want. You can wear a mask all day long, and you can take a trillion doses of a vaccine. But if your immune system is not healthy, if it's not functioning, you're still going to be in trouble, because it is the immune system. The vaccine is supposed to stimulate the immune system. The mask is protecting you from inhaling outside pathogens, but with or without a mask, your immune system is supposed to be the military that is going to be able to defend you from foreign terrorism, i.e., the pathogen. It is the immune system. Once again, we are designed to exist in our environment. Our bodies are going to adapt to whatever environment we are living in. And so this country is and has been extremely vulnerable as pertains to health. Why? Because the system has failed you. The system has failed us. It's failed us all. And while failing us, it's also profiting from our pain, our misery, and our suffering. And when I say system, to keep it real with you, I'm really talking about all of them. I'm not making a real distinguishment between any of them. I'm talking political system, health system, pharmaceutical, government. They're all the same. They're all the same. They just put on a real good show. They act like they hate each other, but they're all the same. They're all homeboys. They all go to the same club. They all party. They all go to the same yacht. They're all the same. Now, you may be asking yourself, how can I say that the U.S. system has failed us? The U.S. healthcare system. How can I say that has failed us? Some people may feel like that's a little extreme. That's a little extreme. Well, what I need you to know is that the U.S. healthcare system spends $3.5 trillion per year. Let me say that again for you. The United States healthcare system spends 3.5 trillion with a T dollars per year. Family, do y'all know how many hundreds of thousands it takes to make a million? Do y'all know how many million it takes to make a billion? And how many billions it takes to make a trillion? That is a lot of money. Not only that $3.5 trillion is 40% of the entire world's healthcare spending. Not only that, the United States only represents 4% of the global population. Come on now. Come on. Y'all got to do the math. In other words, the entire world spends roughly $8.6 trillion on health. The entire world. America alone spends $3.5 trillion. That is a lot of money. Not to mention, we only have 4% of the global population. Something's not adding up here. You see, I wouldn't be here even having this conversation if what we were paying for, we were actually getting great value from it. I wouldn't be here. If we were getting value from it, I would not be here. But if we as American actually had, the longest quality of adjusted life expectancy, not just life expectancy, longest adjusted quality of life expectancy. If we had lower rates of obesity, if we had lower rates of diabetes, if we had lower rates of chronic diseases, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. If we had lower use of pharmaceutical drugs compared to other countries, I would not be here. If we could actually turn around and contribute, and attribute those feats to that $3.5 trillion, then this would be the best money spent. That $3.5 trillion, if it actually got us lower rates of obesity, diabetes, chronic diseases, if it actually got the majority of the population off medications or decreased the medications, if it improved our life expectancy, our quality of a life expectancy, then I would not be here. But guess what? We're not even close. We're not even close to that. Americans are sicker and use more drugs than any developed nation. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Americans are sicker and use more drugs than any people in any developed nation. And on top of that, we have a lower life expectancy than any other country, developed country. And it's going down. Once again, $3.5 trillion. Something else you should know about it is that the US adult population, the obesity rate, is 42%. 42.4% of the US adult population is obese. And this is the first time that this national rate has passed 40%. 42.4%. More than 100 million adults are now living with diabetes or prediabetes. And this number was pulled from 2015. More than 100 million US adults are now living with diabetes or prediabetes as of 2015. That was 5 years ago, going on 6 years ago. Not only that, heart disease is the leading cause of death. We all know that. Unfortunately, one person dies every 36 seconds in the United States from cardiovascular disease. And that's about 655,000 Americans each year to die from heart disease. Once again, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be having this conversation if that $3.5 trillion that America spends, which is 40% of what the entire world spends on health, I wouldn't be here having this conversation if that money was actually reversing these things that we're seeing. We have to ask the question of why. Why do we see these rates? Why is America so sick? How is it that the majority of the country has some type of comorbidity? Why? That's the question. I'll tell you why. It's because your leadership has been compromised. Your leadership has betrayed you, and they've done it in a systematic way. We don't even know who our friends are when it comes to these systems and these people who are the talking heads for these systems. I'm going to tell you who your friends are. In the words of the great master teacher John Henrik Clarke, you have no friends. And when I say you have no friends, I mean that as far as these systems, the people who get on TV and talk about, you see what they're talking about. It's you and your people. It's you and your community. That's what you're going to have to rely on. Doing for self, understanding what health is, understanding practical and straightforward strategies to improve your health, understanding what the health condition is that you're dealing with, really understanding what it is. Don't worry, we'll get to it. You got to understand when I say that your leadership has been compromised and they've betrayed you, what I mean by that is that treating and managing chronic diseases has become the new business model. Look, this thing we used to call healthcare is gone. I'm sorry. I know it hurts some of y'all. I know some of y'all in here may work in the healthcare system. I do myself. But I'm telling you straight up, this whole idea outside of emergency care and urgent care and acute issues, when it comes to these chronic diseases, the idea of actually providing health is gone. Treating and managing chronic diseases has become the new business model. This system that we call the healthcare system, I call disease management, I call metrics obsession, focuses on managing metrics, delivering sick care. They have absolutely no interest whatsoever in reversing diseases. The money's just too good. Blood money, street money, Wall Street money. It's just too good. And when I say they, I don't mean the people that's working in the system. I don't mean your practitioner. I don't mean your nurse, your doctor, your PA, your nurse practitioner. They may very well have your best interest in mind. They may be very well trying their best to help you out. I'm talking about the actual system, because at the end of the day, that doctor, that PA, that nurse, whoever, has to pull from a protocol. They have to work with inside of that protocol. Yeah, they got a little wiggle room, but guess what? If something goes wrong while practicing outside of that protocol, malpractice. Okay, malpractice. And so, with inside of that protocol, with inside of the guidelines, with inside of the recommendations that are handed down to your practitioners, the hustle is already baked in. The medications are already baked in. The procedures are already baked in. The devices are already baked in. It's already tainted. And by the time your practitioner get it, yeah, they can try. But good luck trying to spend that within that 15 minutes of sitting down and talking to you when that office manager is looking down the hallway, tapping his or her watch, saying, hurry up, we got more patients to go see. Come on. Y'all know how it is. At least some of y'all do. So when we talk about that $3.5 trillion that I just spoke about, unsurprisingly, the majority of that money is spent on chronic diseases. What am I talking about when I say chronic diseases? I'm talking about type 2 diabetes. I'm talking about cardiovascular disease such as hypertension, hypercholesterolemia. I'm talking about obesity. And what you also should know is that it did not used to be like this. Right now, like I said, that the majority of that $3.5 trillion is going to chronic care, chronic conditions. Why chronic conditions? Once again, it's because that is the big money maker right now. Chronic conditions, treating chronic conditions is the money maker right now. For right now, it's going to change. You're going to start to see infectious disease become the money maker, along with the treatment of it, which is going to be vaccines. You'll see that shift happen if we allow it to happen, and it's only going to get worse. Why am I saying it's going to get worse? Because they are treating these chronic conditions as if they are irreversible and chronic. They are treating these things as if they cannot be prevented. And if you get it, they are treating it like you have to have it for the rest of your life. And they are treating it like you cannot reverse it. That's why it's only going to get worse. And some people call it a cash cow. I'm telling you, it's a facade. It's a lie. It's a hustle. It's abuse. It's a flat out crime. Real quick, in the chat, y'all do me a favor. Answer this question. Yes or no? Is type 2 diabetes reversible? Yes or no? Help me out in the chat. All right, Yvonne says yes. Tanya says yes. Clara says yes. Linda says yes. Jackie says yes. What's going on, Jackie? Brenda says yes, it's reversible. What's going on, Brenda? Man, Darlene, Isha, Yvonne. Oh, Yvonne says in. Barry says yes. What's going on, Barry? Yeah, that's a lot of yeses. All right, so for everybody who answered yes, when you were when you first heard about type 2 diabetes, was it your understanding that this was something that was reversible? Or did you later on learn that it's reversible? That is a lot of yeses. And I'm so happy to see you all saying yes. This is a completely different demographic over here on this page. Most of you understand that that's one of the things that I bang on hard. You know, the idea that type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, all these things, the idea that is chronic and permanent lifestyle. The idea that you just have to have it for the rest of your life. You know that I go hard on that. And so I'm very, very pleased to see that most of you all, pretty much everybody is saying yes. Shalom says yes. Lynn says yes. Wow. Very impressed right now. Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I would say back in 2015, when I first started saying high blood pressure was not a disease, the looks were crazy. In 2015, when I started saying type 2 diabetes is not a disease and it's reversible, you, the heat and the pushback that I received, was ridiculous. The majority of this country. So once again, I'm so pleased to see that everyone on here is saying yes. If you feel like the answer is no, please go ahead and speak up as well too. I'm very pleased to see that everyone on this page right now understands that type 2 diabetes is reversible. So pleased. So pleased. Y'all have made my night. I'm so pleased to see that. But at the same time, the majority of the country has no idea that this condition is reversible. The idea of it being reversible is starting to really make its way through the headlines. And it's because of y'all. It's because of the people wanting different, the people standing up and saying, yeah, I heard about somebody else reversing this condition. I heard about XYZ reversing this condition, and going out there and researching and finding out and looking for answers. So I'm so happy. I'm so pleased. I'm actually pretty touched right now that so many yeses came through, because I can't tell you how many patients I see during the week that are brand new to me, that are there to see me because of diabetes, have no idea that type 2 diabetes is reversible. No idea. And I'm going to tell you something else. The majority of the country has no idea that type 2 diabetes is reversible. No idea. The question we need to be asking ourselves, and also those who know that type 2 diabetes is reversible, in the chat, think about why you know that it's reversible. And also think about, was that your initial idea of type 2 diabetes as being reversible? Think about the people in your family who may be older than you or your same age, who has type 2 diabetes. Do they know that it's reversible? Think about that. But also, let's get back to what I was saying. It's not widely known. And we have to ask the question of, why is it not widely known? Type 2 diabetes. I just told you the numbers. We can get into the money as far as how much money is spent on it as well too. But why is it not widely known? Because if y'all know it, and you have people reversing it every single day, you have people getting off medications every single day, you have people getting A1C down every single day, this should be like breaking news, right? Or am I wrong? Yeah, I'm wrong. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm wrong. Because there's too much money to be made. There's money to be made on the diagnosis. There's money to be made on the miseducation. There's money to be made from the treatment. There's money to be made from the follow-up visits. There's money to be made from the testing. There's money to be made from the side effects of the medication they just placed you on. There's money to be made from the changing of the medications they just placed you on. There's money to be made from the procedures. And sadly, there's money to be made from the complication of these conditions. Money to be made from dialysis, amputations, bypass surgeries. There's money made from all of that. Now, once again, these procedures and medications, they definitely have their place and they have their value. But it's nowhere close to the way it's being used right now. So the healthcare system is definitely succeeding and progressing as pertains to generating profit. They're definitely winning on that. They're succeeding. They're killing it over there. But that's all at the expense of the patient. That's all at the expense of us. Us. We are paying to get worse. Think about how much you pay for your healthcare insurance. Think about how much you pay for your copay. Think about how much you pay just in taxes in general. And think about the number I presented to you in the beginning of this presentation, 3.5 trillion. Think about the country's obesity rate. Think about the country's diabetes rate, heart disease rate. And now look at the pandemic that we're currently facing. Think about those who have been hardest hit, and think about those who we have unfortunately lost. What the hell is going on? How does any of this happen? Because I know that's the question. For me to pose that question that I did, as far as the title of the video, is the current healthcare system responsible for the deaths from the pandemic? You may be asking yourself, well, Edward, how is this the fault of the healthcare system? All right, well, let's look at the cases. Once again, I told you right now, unfortunately, the number of deaths from coronavirus, as reported by the CDC and these other places, which we'll get into the conversation of my issues, they are reporting that 94% of these COVID-19 deaths, of those patients, 94% of them had underlying medical conditions. Many of those underlying medical conditions were chronic conditions. And once again, when I'm talking about chronic conditions, I'm talking about diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and so on and so forth. Something else you need to understand is that nearly 40% of those who have died from coronavirus were type 2 diabetics. Now, y'all just shocked me by telling me that type 2 diabetes was reversible, and the amount of you all that was saying yes, shocked the hell out of me. I didn't think I would see that many yeses. But think about that. Nearly 40% of the patients who have died from coronavirus had type 2 diabetes. Other notable health conditions that people had who unfortunately died from this condition, this virus, was high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, and kidney disease. Family, I need y'all to all understand that these are preventable conditions. Now I need you to ask yourself, do you think the majority of people know that these conditions can be prevented? Do you think the majority of people know that these conditions can be reversed? Do you think the majority of people know that they could possibly get off all their medications? Do you think that? Also ask yourself, whose job is it to educate them that these are all possibilities? Whose job is it to educate you that type 2 diabetes is actually a preventable and reversible condition? Whose job is it? Whose job? Whose job is it to let you know that you can actually get off of this insulin? You can actually get off of this metformin. You can actually get off of this lisinopril. You can actually get off of this hydrochlorothiazide. You can actually get off of this amlodipine. You can actually get off of this glimepiride. Whose job is it? The people who have been hardest hit, you think they weren't on medications? Actually, whose job is it? Whose responsibility is it? Why? Why does the majority of people who are dealing with these conditions have no idea that they can be prevented, reversed, and possibly get off all the medications? I just told you how they make money. The system. I just told you how the system make money. Unfortunately, they need people sick. They need people on medications, and they need people going to have their procedures. They need people using their devices. They need people having side effects so they can go to the emergency room. They need their hospital beds filled. This is how they make money. There's absolutely no incentive whatsoever in making you healthy as the system sees it, because you being healthy means the business model fails. Ill pill bill. Ill pill bill. What is the ill? Oh, diabetes. What is the pill? Oh, metformin. What is the diagnosis? E11. I can't remember the ICD code, ICD-10 code. One of my medical people, y'all help me out. Ill pill bill. And it would be one thing if the medications actually work. And I don't want to go off too much on a tangent because I can completely go off on this side. It'd be one thing if the medications actually worked. But the medications don't work. As it pertains to mortality and morbidity, they don't work. Which is another slap in the face, because people are largely only taking these medications because they think that it's going to prevent the complications. You're taking the medications because you think it's going to prevent the stroke. You think it's going to prevent the heart attack. You think it's going to prevent the kidney disease, the kidney failure. You think it's going to prevent the amputation. That's what people are thinking when they take these medications for diabetes or high blood pressure or cholesterol. You're thinking that the medication is going to actually help you, and you are believing that the medication will not actually hurt you. I am here to tell you that neither are true. The medications are not going to help you as far as mortality and morbidity, and the medications are not going to not harm you. You can't take a medication and not cause a side effect. You may not be aware of the side effect in the beginning, but when you're taking chemicals that alter your physiology, there's going to be a side effect. You may not know about it in the beginning. Unfortunately, give it time. And so, when I talk about this system, we have to understand that this is abuse. This system has systematically, subtly, sophisticatedly abused its people by using medications, practitioners, procedures, all under the guise of advancement and doing right by you. Your healthcare provider is supposed to be your partner in helping you advance along your journey to health. They are supposed to provide you with advice and recommendations and therapeutics, if necessary, in order to advance you to a state of being healthy. And that's not what's going on. That's not what we get it. And don't get mad at me. That's not me saying that. That's the stats. If you want to defend that, then you got to go defend them stats. You got to go explain them stats. And you got to tell me why the people who are being hardest impacted and hit from coronavirus right now have underlying conditions. And you got to tell me why the majority of these underlying conditions are chronic conditions that can be prevented and reversed. Don't come at me, bro. Go talk to the stats. I didn't come up with it. I'm just repeating it. These conditions are caused by lifestyle, meaning that the foods we eat, the things we drink, our movement or lack thereof, all of those things impacts your overall health. So if you're eating processed foods on the regular, you're going to put your body and your health in a situation where it's vulnerable to anything, including a virus. And that's what we got to understand. When I say this country was already vulnerable, especially our community, you got to understand that it didn't have to be coronavirus. If you're insulin resistant, you're dealing with diabetes or prediabetes, you're also dealing with hypertension, you're also dealing with obesity, you're also dealing with asthma, you're also dealing with several things, not moving, diet not looking too good, eating frequently. If that is the condition and the situation, which it is for a lot of people, then you have to understand that you are vulnerable to anything. It didn't have to be coronavirus. It could have been the regular flu. It could be a freaking you bumping your toe against the wall while walking around your house and that toe getting infected. It could be a urinary tract infection. Why? Because the burden of the body is already so heavy. So heavy. And to ask the troops, the military that is already underfunded, to ask the military that already doesn't have guns, doesn't have ships, planes, drones, it doesn't have anything, to ask it to fight on one side of the battlefield of diabetes, to fight on the other side of the battlefield for high blood pressure, to fight on the other side of the battlefield for obesity. And now you have this airdrop, this paratrooper coming in called coronavirus. It's too much. It's too much. It's just too much. And now this so-called healthcare system that created this environment that we're talking about right now, not only are they suggesting aggressive hand washing and mask wearing, they're telling you to hold tight. Warp speed is coming. We got a vaccine we're about to come up for you. And we may make it mandatory. Maybe. We'll see. Or we just might tie it in with your stimulus check. heard this before. I've heard this before. So you got to understand that all these things that we're talking about, the rates, the stats, this is on their watch. This is on their watch. And if I had to grade them, just like if anybody else had to grade them, I'm sure you would give them an F. When it comes to chronic conditions and how the healthcare system in the United States has dealt with the chronic conditions, given the resources that they have, the $3.5 trillion annually, and the results that we were getting from that, you get an F, bro. You get an F. Now, I would assume that a lot of people would agree that the grade is an F. My question is, how you get an F, a failing grade, and get rewarded year after year after year? 3.5 trillion. How you fail and get money like that? Unless that F is really an A and you're not failing, you're actually succeeding. Maybe we're the ones who are fooled. Maybe we're the ones who, like Dr. John Henry Clark says, dewy-eyed. Maybe we're expecting something different than you're actually trying to put out there. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's not them, it's us. I think it's us. Now, with that being said, you now have the same failing healthcare system throwing around the idea of mandatory vaccines, all while acting like they're beyond reproach. These folks are like, how dare you question us? They over here acting like they're the best that did it. They're acting like they're Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, Muhammad Ali. They're acting like they're the greatest of all time. They scoff and turn up their nose when people question the idea of a mandatory vaccine or just question any of their authority. Yo, how far are we going to let this go? Huh? How far are we going to let this go? Once again, I'll get back on here and talk about the vaccine. This is not so much about the actual vaccine itself. It's about the mandatory part. How dare you? How dare you? Bro, you got an F. You've been failing. You out here acting like you killing the game right now. You ain't killing the game. You killing something, but it's not the game. It's the people. You're failing. You got an F. And they will never repent for their F because they won't even acknowledge it. That's the crazy thing. That's the crazy thing. I mean, I can't sit here and try to tell you all about the many instances that I know about in healthcare where these folks make major, I don't even want to call them mistakes, but they make, for lack of better words, major mistakes. Medications, side effects, procedures, under the table deals with the FDA so that it can clear a drug just so that and the drug also have problems with it. And they still are able to get back in the game. And nobody's saying sorry. Nobody's actually getting ejected from the game. Like, these folks are actually able to pay their way right back into the game. You don't have to believe me. You can just look up Avandia. You can look up Pfizer's lawsuits. You can look up Merck's lawsuits. Like, you can literally do this work yourself. And understand that when it comes to paying these lawsuits, these folks, they put that in the budget. Like, when the year starts or when the quarter starts, yo, we got a couple million for marketing. We got a couple million for production. We got a couple million for the staff. We got a couple million to beat the case. Like, they have a budget to beat the case. And so either you got to get to some point where you're like, them beating the case is part of the game. Them knowing that their drugs are going to cause problems, but still putting the drug out there and hoping that 3-4 years goes by before they actually get caught and that they make more money, way more money than they actually have to pay for the lawsuits. Like, that's just part of the game. And you know it's part of the game because once again, leadership has failed you, but the vanguards or the so-called vanguards, places, organizations like the FDA, Food Drug Administration, the same administration that approves many of the horrible, crappy food that's making you sick, also oversees the drugs that will also make you sick. And, to be fair, it helps people who are in need of the actual medication, but the key word is need. need of the medication. Now this same organization is going to get paid by these companies because they were faulty, they put out misleading information, they hid certain data, they caused more harm than good. And you would think you would be depending and hoping that this organization called the FDA would actually eject them from the game. Like, you're not going to get penalized, you're not going to get a flag. I'm not going to tell you got to sit down. Like you're ejected from the game. You can't ever come back to the game of football. Like, you're completely done. Nah, these folks were like, penalty on the play, 5 yards, first down again. It's always first down from them. Always. Merck, Pfizer, Avandia, you name it. It's always first down. And it's always goal line for them. Goal line offense for them. So, nah, they'll never repent because they won't even acknowledge their feelings. Because as far as they're concerned, like I said, they're killing the game. And you know, when I look at the word repentance, you know, it's a very deep meaning. The definition of repentance is the activity of reviewing one's actions and feelings, contrition or regret for the past wrongs, which is accompanied by commitment to and actual actions that show and prove a change for the better. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family, I'm here to tell you that that will never happen, nor am I waiting for it to happen. I know that sounds like a doom and gloom message, but I'm not here to deliver a doom and gloom message. I'm here to let you know that we have everything we need to radically improve our health of our communities. Same thing I've been saying for the past 6 years. Hasn't changed. But in order for that to happen, a part of that improvement and a part of that radical improvement deals with us walking away from this damn system. That's right. I said it. Outside of the acute care, the emergent care, which they do a great job, um, when we talk about specifically the chronic conditions, the blood pressure, the type 2 diabetes, the cholesterol, the obesity, I mean, you got to show me where they're doing just such a great job. You got to show me. They have the money. They have the money. $3.5 trillion. I mean, give me that. Watch what I do with it. Yo, 100,000. Watch what I do with it. So that should not even be a radical idea. Because if you don't walk away, if you don't hold them accountable, guess what happens? They continue the same arrogance. These folks, this system is arrogant. These politicians, when they get up on the news and they talk that talk, they are arrogant. Mandatory. Bro, sit down. Sit down. You gotta be kidding me. Mandatory. Like, how far this gonna go? How far are we gonna allow this to go? You better realize you pay these people. They don't own you. You don't work for them. They work for you. I need for y'all to understand that. They don't own you, and you don't work for them. They work for you. We put them in these positions, supposedly, reportedly. So, what are my solutions? Once again, I told you all, I've been delivering the same practical solutions since 2014. These practical solutions have, evolved a little bit, but for the most part, the level of frustration that I felt once I realized that I spent years in school, uh, hundreds of thousands of dollars, just to find out that the things that will radically improve our condition of our community is straightforward, practical, sustainable, and in most cases free. Like, there was a slight I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty frustrated because I couldn't find anything inside this one. I couldn't find much. There was not much that I could find in this system that they had to offer that was going to truly improve our health. What I found that truly improves our health, you all know fasting is my gospel. And fasting is definitely one of them. Fasting is the main part. Whole foods. You all hear me talking about whole foods all the time. You got to understand that those processed foods, they do nothing beneficial for you other than make you feel good. And yes, I will say that there is benefit in you feeling good. But at the end of the day, if that feeling good actually strips and robs your body of vital nutrients that you need, what did you really get from it? So whole foods, fiber-filled foods, we have to understand that these are the things that are going to radically improve our health. Water. I know it sounds simple, it sounds straightforward, and I told you, like years and years of school, hundreds and thousands of dollars, and here I am talking to you about fasting, which is free, whole foods, which it's not free, but and it does cost more money, and I'm definitely going to get back on here and talk about food deserts, because I find it ironic. I mean, it's just crazy to see this energy and all of a sudden this compassion and this love that this government has for people, particularly Black Americans right now, and how they got to make sure we got to make sure that this disadvantaged community gets the vaccine first. Excuse me. What about these food deserts where we're trying to get some? We got to make sure that you get these vaccines first. Uh, what about these dialysis clinics? We have to make sure that you get these vaccines first. Is you slick or is you stupid? And when I say you, I don't mean you. I'm talking about the system. And I will tell you, they are not stupid. They're not. These folks are very intelligent. The system is very intelligent. They know exactly what they're doing. What about Flint, Michigan? Water, lead. We have to make sure that we get these vaccines to you first. Okay. Okay. So, once again, fasting. I definitely recommend working up to 16 hours a day without eating. So, let me say this before I talk about the fasting. We have a challenge coming up, the Fast Life 28-Day Challenge. If you don't know about the Fast Life 28-Day Challenge, yo, where you been at? What's up? Where you been at? Don't worry about it. You're gonna get educated on it. But the Fast Life 20-Day Challenge is a 28-day challenge where three coaches, Tiffany Davis, Kathleen Richardson, and then myself, Edward Williams, we come together in a community of over 200 dope people. It's a dope community, the TFL community. Uh, we walk you through several habits that we do on a daily basis. We put you on a fasting protocol based on your reality, the things that you have going on, the health conditions that you have going on. We also show you how to work with your practitioner in order for you to keep an eye on this medication so that you can decrease the medication when the time comes. We check in with you, accountability. We also make sure we also hold you accountable every day. You have a check-in system about the habits that you're supposed to be doing for that day, and we check in with you on a daily basis. And then you have a community that checks in with you on a daily basis. Not only that, provide you with education, because once again, education. When I asked you the question of why does the majority of the country have no idea that type 2 diabetes is reversible, that falls in the realm of education. That falls in the realm of education. And whose job is it to educate you? I think it would be the healthcare providers. But if the healthcare providers are uneducated or miseducated, and they're being told that no, it's not reversible. Check out this medication right here. It's an injection you just gotta inject once a week. It's gonna help you lose weight. That's what we on. Check out this other medication right here. It's gonna help you keep your blood sugar down. Yeah, you might urinate blood sugar, and that shouldn't cause a problem with your kidneys. But it's gonna help you get your A1C down. Now, once you come off of it, your A1C going right back up. But so education is where that falls into it, and that's what we make sure we do. And so we educate you on fasting, the effects of it, because we don't want to just list out habits that you don't know why you're doing them. You don't know how it impacts your body. You don't know how it impacts your health. We make sure you understand it. And if you have questions, we are there to answer your questions. The community is there to answer your questions. That's how we roll. And you get results. You see, can you imagine? Can you imagine asking for a refund from your insurance and your doctor and whoever from your lack of results, your lack of progress? Can you imagine knowing that you're paying to get more medication? Can you imagine knowing that you're paying for your doses of medication to increase? Because we have to ask a question. If you started off this whole diabetes journey with metformin 500 milligrams, and then 3 months it goes to metformin 500 milligrams twice a day, and then 3 months from there it goes to metformin 1,000 milligrams once a day, but glimepiride 1 milligram once a day, and then it goes from there to metformin 1,000 milligrams BID twice a day, glimepiride twice a day. Also, in addition with that, hydrochlorothiazide, because your blood pressure has increased, and that is increasing. And then you start to notice that every time I come to this office, something is increasing, something is changing. They're changing my medication, they're increasing my medication. Answer this question. If that is the way your journey on health is going, where you are getting more medications when you come in, are you getting healthier or are you getting sicker? Which one? If every time you walk into my office, I'm increasing your medications for type 2 diabetes, what just happened? Did you improve or did you get worse? If I'm now putting you on insulin in conjunction with the oral medications that you were once on, and I started increasing your insulin units from 5 units, 10 units, 20 units, 30 units, are you getting healthier or are you getting sicker? And then on top of that, just to make things even worse, I'm telling you, lose weight. And you're like, the insulin is making me gain weight. I said lose weight. Once again, are you getting healthier or are you getting sicker? So, in my opinion, many of us are paying for no results. Like we're paying to not get results. And so, with the education, you're able to hold people accountable because you're able to go in armed with knowledge of what you should be expecting from this visit. If you choose to continue to uh, deal with this system, and that's your choice. I believe that there is a way to deal with the system, your practitioner per se. I'll keep it at your practitioner in a healthy way. I do, but you got to have the education. You got to know what's going on. So let me get back to it. So fasting, at least 16 hours a day. In the challenge, we work you up. We place you on different protocols. We hold your hands as much as possible virtually to make sure that you are fasting in a safe manner. Next, whole foods. We're talking about whole foods. Foods that are not processed, foods that are rich with vitamins and minerals. Not only vitamins and minerals, but also enzymes. People don't understand just how important enzymes are. Also, in addition with that, fiber, 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 fiber. So crucial. And so, whole foods. After that, water. We need water. I mean, 70% of the world, the planet Earth is made out of water. 70% of the human body is water. 70% of the cell is water. There's a pattern and you should not ignore it. We need water. And so with the water, I also recommend cutting out the sodas, the juices, the cocos, the coffees filled with sugar, cream, and latte and milk and everything. I recommend stopping and decreasing all of that. Decreasing and or stopping all of that. That's what I recommend. So water, you need water. In addition with that, hormone D. A lot of people call it vitamin D. The majority of people call it vitamin D. I'm the only weirdo out here calling it hormone D. But you have to understand that if you're black, African American, of African descent, if you have the ability to tan, you're brown, you have the ability to tan when you go into the sun, you need hormone D. And the reason why I call it hormone D is because it's a hormone. It's not actually a vitamin. And I think if we call it hormone D, what it is, which it is, people will understand the importance of taking it and having it or exposing themselves to the sunlight. Think about that. Like the sun actually is providing you with a hormone slash nutrient. The sun, huh? And you got some weirdos out there that want to block the sun. That's crazy. And the same weirdos also want to vaccine. That's crazy. All right. So hormone D, we need that. Movement. We're designed to move. We are not designed to remain stagnant. And so everybody should be moving on a daily basis at their pace, at their ability. So even if you are wheelchair bound, there are cans, there are water bottles, there are things you be picking up, lifting over your head, swinging, even using the wheelchair, rolling up ramps in a safe way. Water aerobics, walking around your block. We are designed to move. We have to move. You just have to move. Um, Community, extremely important. Our family, feeling like you belong to a community, feeling needed and wanted. These are all important things. They play a huge role on the psyche and the well-being of the human. Sleep. I'm a hypocrite here because I'm going to ask that you sleep 8 hours a day. I sleep at best 4 hours a night. But sleep for the majority of people is extremely important, and the majority of us are not getting that sleep. Sleep is very much important. You need that sleep. Some people are wired differently. At certain ages, they can sleep less and be just fine. I believe that's the stage that I'm currently in. Uh, but please don't overlook sleep. All right. Having your last meal before 6 p.m. The reason why you want to make sure you have your last meal before 6 p.m. is because it takes about roughly 4 hours for your body to fully digest and assimilate the food you just ate. With the digestion and assimilation, within 4 hours, your stomach should be empty. If you are someone who goes to bed around 10 o'clock, which would be a good idea, especially during this time that we're living in right now, between the hours of 10 and 2 is where your body is able to have the deepest level of cleansing, cleaning, and repairing and building. This is also the deepest level of sleep, REM, rapid eye movement. And so during this, your body secretes higher amounts of growth hormone. This growth hormone can only be secreted if uh, ghrelin is released from your stomach. Ghrelin will only be released. I'm sorry, not ghrelin released from your stomach. Ghrelin will only be released at a optimal amount if you have the empty stomach, and you only have an empty stomach by 10 o'clock if you had a meal 4 hours before that, and you're not eating anything before that. So flip it and reverse it. Last meal at 6, 4 hours, 10 o'clock, stomach's empty. Ghrelin should start to be secreted. Ghrelin, we listen to the word ghrelin, grr, you hear GHR, that GHR, which is dope. It sounds like you're growling, but it also stands for growth hormone releasing. That's going to cause growth hormone to increase in your body. That growth hormone will now allow your body to go into an anabolic phase. This is where it's repairing and it's building back up the damage that was done for the day, but also the damage overall. And so that's a huge gift, man. That is a great gift that your body, or whoever your creator, uh, you believe is your creator. That is a great gift that many of us are not tapping into. And just think about how straightforward it is. Having your last meal at 6 p.m. and not eating anything else, just drinking water and doing what you do. And if you do that and you get in bed and go to sleep by 10 o'clock, that cycle I just told you about will take place. And this is where a deep level of repairing and cleansing takes place. When you don't do that, and you're eating at night, you're eating around the clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's blunted. It doesn't even happen. I mean, it might happen a little bit, but for the most part, it won't happen. So I recommend having your last meal before 6 p.m. All right. So what did I say? Let's recap. Fasting, water, whole foods, movement, sleep, um, last meal before 6 p.m., community, yo, laugh, all right? laugh, have fun, hug on your people, love on your people. Like, please. And also, guard your mind. Yo, guard your mind, guard your psyche. Please don't be sitting out here scrolling up and down Facebook and Instagram, traumatizing the hell out of yourself. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. We have to understand that, well, all right, I'll say this is my belief. My belief is that we all have some kind of purpose. Some of us have realized our purpose. Some of us have not realized it yet. And it's my hope that we all realize our purpose. And so I don't believe you can come to you can realize your purpose by being traumatized. I don't believe you can realize it by being distracted. That's just my personal belief. Once you realize it, it is my personal belief that you cannot execute or create something that's going to benefit your purpose while being traumatized, while being distracted. Why? Well, because while you're being traumatized and while you're being distracted, there's a level of frustration, there's a level of anger, there's a level of resentment, there's a level of hopelessness, there's multiple things that you are feeling. And that energy and that feeling that you are currently experiencing is what you're going to create things out of. So if your purpose, your higher purpose, is, come up with an example. Some of you may know your higher purpose. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to create something that's going to benefit that purpose by being in those lower emotions of hopelessness, defeat, resentment, anger, frustration. You're just not. And that's why if I was the opponent and I was playing warfare, I would make sure to keep you feeling angry. I would make sure to keep you feeling frustrated. I would do everything in my ability to keep you feeling hopeless because I know you probably have something on your chest that you want to get off. I know that you have something that you want to say. You have some couple things that you're not pleased with that you want to correct. And so all I'm going to do is just keep poking at it. So long story short, I say all that to say this: please guard your mind. Please fill your life and your scenery and your mindset up with more positive and uplifting things that are going to be conducive to you actually creating, getting closer to getting more in alignment with your purpose and your path. Please, please, please surround yourself with more of those things. Please do not indulge yourself in these folks' business. Don't. It's all a dog and pony show for the most part. That dog and pony show is only effective if we're watching it. All right. Um, in addition to that, please, 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 please think about what I just presented and said in this conversation, this presentation. Okay. So once again, I know I've been requested to talk about the vaccine, and don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there. But there's levels to this. You got to understand. They're looking for people, the majority of people, to put themselves all the way out there in the deep ocean, all the way out in the deep ocean by having conversations they know those people are not ready for. They want to get you talking about the ingredients, which is an important conversation, but there's levels before you get to that. They want to get people talking about the side effects, which is a very important conversation, but there's levels to that. They want to get people talking about the conditions that may come from it. Very important conversation, but guess what? There's levels to it. And so my job, my role is to go through those levels before we can get to these other things that you're going to hear a lot of other people talking about. I'm going to keep it real basic. Real basic. What was funny is that just a month ago, just a month ago, people, particularly politicians, had the audacity to tell me what my ancestors died for. That was just a month ago. They hardly had the audacity to tell me what my ancestors died for. Okay, okay. Well, riddle me this, Batman. Can you tell me where my ancestors stood on forced vaccinations and my civil liberties? Please, tell me. You brought up my ancestors' name last month and the month before that. You kept on bringing them up and trying to make me feel guilty about doing or not doing. That's what you were doing. Now the ancestor talk has conveniently gone away. But for people who think and talk about their ancestors all the time, they would like to know what input, what insight do you have on my ancestors' stance as pertains to forced vaccinations and my civil liberties? Did my ancestors have anything to say about my liberation? Did they have anything to say about my freedom of choice? Did they have anything to say about me controlling my body? Did they have any input whatsoever? Or was my ancestors only dying so I can vote? Which one? Let me know. I'm curious. So we'll get to the conversation. But there's levels to this. All right. So think about what I just said. We see the current situation that we're dealing with. We see the pandemic. We see those who are unfortunately losing their lives to the pandemic. But we also see that in the midst of them losing their lives to this pandemic, we also see the underlying conditions. We also see that those underlying conditions are only the tip of the iceberg as it pertains to this country. It is those conditions are a microcosm in that population that died from the condition. They represent a microcosm of the macrocosm, because when we zoom out and look at America as a whole, this country is sick. This country is dealing with a lot of health issues. Once again, I went through the numbers. You can't have numbers like that and then pretend that health is your priority. Sit down. Health is not your priority. And with that being said, since health is not your priority, you have no right to come in here and throw around the idea of mandating anything as if you've been killing the game, as if you have a on your results. Your results are horrible. You're not offering any progress. $3.5 trillion. Where's it going at as it pertains to actual improvements in our overall health as a people? So I just need you for y'all to think about that. All right. So I definitely thank you all for showing up tonight. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Please share this video. Also, please, I sent out an email, and in that email I mentioned about steadfast. sorry, steadfastness, and I also talked about being critical. We're about to see a lot being thrown at us, and the things that's going to get thrown at us is going to be wrapped up in a very pretty wrap, and the rapper might be a rapper. The rapper might be a basketball player. The rapper may be a singer, but we're about to get things presented to us in a very beautiful wrapper. All right. And what I need for us to do is to remain calm, logical, analytical, steadfast. Let's think. All right. Let's think. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, please go ahead and take action on improving your health. You don't need their permission. You don't even, we really don't need much of anything from them. Once again, we have what it takes. And you just have to know that. Start off with believe it, but eventually you gotta get to the point where you just know that. The things I listed out are very cheap, effective, practical, sustainable. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Also, please make sure y'all go check out the TFL 28-day challenge that we have coming up. Our next start date is going to be January 4th. I cannot wait to get back in it. Man, there's something about fasting that just gets me. I'm like the Kool-Aid man busting through the wall. I love seeing people take control of their health and radically improving their health. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so we have another challenge coming up. This is going to be the first one that we've done in a long time. I think almost since June. So you definitely want to be a part of this. The squad is coming back. We have a community of over 200 people in there. We're all ready to serve and support you. Trust me, this is where you want to be. And also, it makes a great gift for a loved one. If you have a loved one, you feel like they need help, you have no idea how to help them or where to get them started, yo, send them to us. Send them to the community. The link for the program is in the description, tfl28.com. Check it out. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And remember, this is our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes. Let's get it.